Before I start this video, I just want to make it known I do not know anything about soccer, football. I do not know anything, but I'm willing to learn. And I'm going to react to a video at least 2 to 3 times a week about football so I can be up to date about, you know what I'm saying, the beautiful game of soccer because it's worldwide. Mr. Worldwide, baby.
At 38 years old, turning 39 in a week, Lionel Messi is not supposed to still be that good. Because in Argentina's opener against Algeria, Lionel Messi dropped a hat-trick, becoming the oldest player in World Cup history to ever do that, even breaking the record that Cristiano Ronaldo once set. But
That's crazy.
Not only that, he also tied Miroslav Klose's all-time World Cup goal-scoring record
That's
on
crazy.
the same night. But for most people, I'd imagine this was either a complete surprise or completely expected. Because on one hand...
But isn't, from my understanding, isn't Messi the GOAT? I don't know too much about soccer outside of Ronaldo, the two Ronaldos. I don't know, you know, the one, I'm not even going to get into that. But you got the one that plays for Portugal and the one that plays for Brazil, I think. And then you have Messi. And I think it's Messi and the two Ronaldos, right? Those are the quote-unquote GOATs. So if this is the GOAT, this is like LeBron. You know, of course we expect LeBron to do crazy stuff like this.
Man is basically 39 years old, but on the other hand, Messi has still been in incredible form. The same form that helped him become the first back-to-back MVP in MLS history, leading the entire league in both goals and assists. The man who won Inter Miami their first MLS Cup ever. And what most teams are expecting or simply hoping that he slows down, Messi just hasn't. And Algeria witnessed this firsthand. But I gotta say, the Algerian defense was no threat at all. That being said, however, it perfectly shows why you can't give Messi any space or even give him a full 2 seconds to react. Because in this match, Messi showed a bit of everything. Turning and shooting the ball from range, intelligently make a run for the box and rebound a loose ball, and still shoot and aim from the tightest of angles. But that's what happens when Argentina's plan is to just let Messi be dangerous. That's why you might think I'm crazy, but it's possible that this 2026 Argentina World Cup squad might be even more dangerous than the one that won the 2022 World Cup. Let me explain. Of course, the 2022 team was peak cinema. Messi finally won the World Cup, and the heartbreak they had in 2014 was dissolved in the 90 minutes of what was arguably the greatest World Cup final of all time. And what's different from Messi this time around compared to the last World Cup is that now simply he doesn't have pressure. He's already won it all, and at 39 years old, he just needs to be out there and do what he does best, be an absolute magician on the ball. And that is a huge reason why I think this 2020.
But is it? I don't know too many positions in soccer, but isn't Messi a striker? And a striker, from my understanding, is like there's only like 3 to 4 people, maybe 5 people that can cross half field. I know the whole team can't cross half field, so Messi is one of the only people that can cross half field. So yeah, he's a striker. Isn't like all the GOAT players strikers? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe all the GOAT players are strikers because they score the goals, right?
Argentina squad is just on a whole nother level of even more dangerous than the one that won the 2022 World Cup. Argentina under Scaloni has turned into an absolute machine. Argentina are ranked #1 in the FIFA World Rankings, and perhaps the biggest factor of all is that even though he's older, Lionel Messi no longer has to play under pressure. And that freedom that now allows him to just focus on being creative is going to make the entire Argentinian attack a huge problem. And the new level of freedom that he's going to have on the pitch is just going to completely unlock this entire Argentinian squad as a whole. And now, not only is the entire organization and the country itself trying their very hardest to play for and support Messi, they're going to be there to help cement his legacy to an even higher level.
They're
going to be there to help him break football in a way it's never been done before. And don't just take my word for it. You have to witness it yourself with your own eyes. But if you want to watch Argentina yourself during this World Cup and browse the internet safely while doing so, today's service is to watch all the action. Well, that's where private internet websites, because I know in countries it makes it much easier to watch the World Cup securely.
Jesus Christ, man, it's a long ass ad, brother. Shit, they're paying you some decent show for this long ass ad.
He just keeps on breaking football. For a few years now, you've probably seen the argument. People criticizing the MLS for its lack of quality. And while I do have to say that's kind of valid, at the same time, it's kind of allowed Messi to adapt his game. Basically, for Messi, the entire MLS is just a training session. He was setting MLS records left and right, and while you no longer see him running through an entire half and scoring a solo goal, Messi is basically just taking shots and trying out new things that he normally wouldn't have risked in, say, a Champions League match.
Basically, because from my understanding, MLS is like child's play compared to international play. Like, for him, what he's used to in Premier League, oh my God, MLS is like it's nothing. But the only thing I think why he came over here is less pressure on him. He also can live like a regular person because where he was like, soccer, that's the one thing about America. Soccer isn't super big here. So yeah, like people, that's what, even when the World Cup I've been seeing a lot of like super famous soccer players. This is like their first time being able to come out in the public and not get swarmed and like, people still take like hidden pictures here and there. But like the average American doesn't know who Messi is. The average American doesn't know who like that 18-year-old footballer that's like raw as hell, that's supposed to be the new Messi, quote unquote. They don't know who he is. So they can walk out and, live a regular life and be a regular person. And honestly, they're right. Like, this is definitely practice to them.
While his agility and speed is past its prime, I would argue that his creativity is probably at one of the best we've ever seen. And what's funny is that against Algeria and even in the MLS, I noticed because Messi is older, a lot of people are backing off him, giving him space to move and giving him time to make decisions. But that's actually incredibly counterintuitive. Because with Messi, you genuinely have to pick your poison. If you give him space, best believe he's going to make a pass or he's going to attempt to dribble. And when he gets going, despite his age, his touch and control still makes it incredibly difficult to take the ball from him. That's why, on the other hand, when you press him too hard, you already know Messi is going to feint, take time away from the press, then make the right pass. Whether it be to an open teammate or a through ball that nobody saw coming. That's why basically at 39 years old, Messi makes opponents forget, even briefly, that they're supposed to be trying to stop him. That's what happens when the opposition doubts his age and his ability, and that just makes the entire Argentinian squad around him all the more dangerous. Now, Messi does turn 39 midway through the tournament, and although we're not going to see Messi carry the same attacking load he did in the last World Cup, we're going to see him take on a much more orchestrating role. And although I don't expect him to press, the rest of the Argentinian squad will definitely make sure to try and fill that gap for him.
So basically, he's taking more of a role instead of being a shooting guard, he's being more of a point guard. So instead of being tasked with being a KD, he's taking more of a Chris Paul approach to it. That's how I'm looking at it. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's more so like distributing. Like he can still score because Chris Paul can still get his buckets. Don't get me wrong, but he's still taking more of a assist role, distributing role, like lead the field general role instead of being a KD like just go take the rock, score. I think that's actually really good, especially for his age, because he's with all that experience, he's super smart and he understands like everything. So he's in a position where he doesn't have to be asked to do much, and he can just really play with ease. Because like they said already, like the creator said, he already won a World Cup. He already won so many awards. He doesn't really have anything to lose, everything to gain. So I feel like he's in a unique position. I feel like that's actually very smart for him to put him in a point guard role.
Messi is still incredibly dangerous when given the ball in open play. If he's not picked up quickly, he is going to make a very good progressive pass. And I'm fully expecting Lautaro Martinez and Julian Alvarez to absolutely eat, as Messi drags in defensive attention and simply slides the ball to them in open space. But anyways, let's look at the actual tactics, because the formations that Scaloni has built has been incredibly liquid. He lets his Argentina squad play incredibly flexible. However, mainly, he'll stick between either a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1, and at some parts of the match, even a 4-1-4-1, depending on what Argentina needs to do.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Technically, you could say it's a 4-3-3, but it's an incredibly loose and dynamic one, because how he's conditioned Argentina to play is incredibly reactive. And this really stems from their midfield in Enzo and McAllister. These two basically link to form the base of Argentina's possession game. Then you have a jack of all trades like DePaul, and though I wouldn't exactly say he's incredible at doing any single thing, for Argentina, he's a dog, running around and doing whatever the team needs, whether it's aggressive pressing, bus parking, or even exhausting himself running around to be an open outlet. And when Argentina does start pressing high, Julian Alvarez starts as the first defender, and I would say he's one of the better pressing strikers in the world. As for Argentina, he has been known to press opposing center backs, causing them to rush and make bad choices or poor passes. And no matter what you think of the guy, you gotta admit, Alvarez does have an admirable work rate. However, when Argentina don't need a press, or maybe their press just isn't working, instead what they'll do is overload their midfield, bringing guys in and pushing guys out to extend their possession to the wide corners. And while this might not be an ideal play style to score goals, if they're patient enough, it unlocks the opposition. But what it's really for is being more defensive.
So this is more like basketball, because in a football sense, if a team runs a 4-3-4 or a 4-2, whatever, so 4-2-5, they're running that the entire season. They're not just gonna switch to from a 3-4-3 to a 4-2-5 in the middle of the season, or depending on the game. They're not doing that. This is like the game. This is like the defense they run. This is what they do. And what I'm seeing right here is they're more so switching as the game progresses, going with making adjustments. It's like a basketball team. And honestly, that's kind of making it easier for me to understand what's going on. I still need to learn the position so I can like get a better understanding, but I'm kind of getting a drift.
And they would use this exact style, allowing them to only concede 10 goals in 18 CONMEBOL matches. That's an average of 0.56 goals conceded per game. For context, France conceded 4 of their last 6 European qualifying matches. And I know, context does matter a lot. You might argue that the countries that France faced were a lot tougher. But to play devil's advocate, I also might argue with you that in South America they play a lot more aggressive and attack-minded, making defending and maintaining clean sheets generally a lot harder. But we're gonna have to be honest here and assess Argentina's biggest concern, and that is probably their individual midfield personnel. And the most important one is going to have to be Enzo Fernandez. And with Cole Palmer missing a lot of matches for Chelsea throughout the season, Enzo was kind of forced to play a hybrid attacking role. Sometimes play the role of an 8 or maybe even a 10, but usually for Chelsea, he was the conductor. Granted, yeah, Chelsea were really bad last season, but oftentimes Enzo had to be responsible for the first pass into the press and every other second ball when possession broke down, which for Chelsea was a lot. And honestly, that's an enormous amount of responsibility for one player. But he fought it out through 36 matches, even managing to score 10 goals and provide.
See, I gotta do some more research. I'm gonna look up like soccer for dummies because I think I might react to that here too because I'm just not really understanding. So you got international play, but then they also have like Premier League and stuff. So do they do both of those each year, or is it like kind of like basketball when the Olympics come up and each team like they might play for the Lakers, like Jokic plays for the Nuggets, but when international play comes on, he just goes to Serbia. Is that kind of how it goes? I'm really confused about this. I got to do more research, but this is interesting to me. I really do want to watch a lot more soccer. So I'm gonna do some research on this. This is interesting though. It's definitely piqued my interest.